Okay, so now that we're working in healthy family systems, we're going to talk about all of the different families that we're going to be working with. Yes, as soon as you saw the theme, the Simpsons, they're one of the most notorious families for all sorts of um, communication and relationship issues. All that's missing here are all of their symbols that you would interconnect. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's cute. Because essentially, I mean, this is the format. This is 3 generations. This is what you're, unless you just really want to go big and go home, this is what your genogram is going to look like.
Professor Dainty, I have a question.
Yeah.
So on the see how Homer and Marge are placed close to each other?
Yes.
I thought the oldest sibling is always to the left. So if, let's say, like Homer was older than Herb, would you place him over there and then, draw the connection that way? Or do you always place like the two, like my parents would always be right next to each other?
Correct. Yes. Your parents would always be next to you, or they would always be next to each other. If you were centering it around, so it's always going to be the married couples if they're married.
Mm-hmm.
So now in very really long kind of genograms, you would then, because if you were centering it, if you can tell, everything is centering from Homer and Marge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they're doing it. So if it was around Herb and Homer, then they would be in the middle and they would be in order of age. And
Gotcha.
Marge would be underneath. Well, still she'd still be to the side, but it's focused on the main couple. So if you are married, you're going to be right in the middle beside your spouse.
Okay. And so for our genogram that we're doing, who should be our like focus couple?
Really, it should be you.
Okay.
So,
You
and how you,
from there.
yes, and build out from there or build down. So so let's say if Lisa was the main person right now, she would indicate on her picture that she is the main person of focus.
Okay. Got it.
And you can do that any way you want to. Some people, circle the name, or some people put an asterisk by the name, or some people highlight the name in a different color. But that's how you would indicate who the main person is, because otherwise we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know if it was Homer or Marge or Patty or any of the other family members.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure, yeah. Okay, so why do you think it's important to learn about different families if you're going to be working with people? And anybody can chime in if they want to.
Well, because different families will show you different scenarios and the results of
Mhm.
those scenarios, which would help strengthen your ability to have insight and wisdom when a new family comes your way.
Yeah, exactly. Counselors have to be able to see the differences, and they need to be able to recognize bias and stereotypes when they see them as well. So we live in a very increasingly diverse world, and that is even true for family structures. The nuclear family is not as prevalent in our society as it once was. And so more children are being raised in different types of households, single parent, same sex. Hey, Judy, can you mute yourself?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Same sex partners, grandparents, blended families, families with mixed race, religion, and ethnicity. And even though the variety is common, people, counselors, are not always comfortable with their own family situations. and sometimes with the differences in their peers or societal families. So what we are used to is not necessarily going to be the people that we're with. And so we, as much as we shield ourselves from things that might tarnish or question or, kind of put a dim light on our faith, to be a counselor in the secular world means you're going to be working with a lot of issues. And as you encounter other family structures, it's important for future counselors to recognize and accept that person and their differences, because in the end, the counseling arrangement is not about you being comfortable with the client. It's about you giving that client the best care that they're due in that session. So I thought this was pretty funny. So for those of you, I don't know if you can see screen, but a person says, I can't ever forgive my parents. And the therapist says, I, on the other hand, am profoundly grateful to them. So we will always likely have job security if you're going to be working with families. I actually have a little bit of a brainstorming activity for you guys. You don't have to say it out loud yet. For about a minute, I want you to jot down all of the different types of families that you can think of by memory. Don't use technology. Don't use, any kind of assistance or help. But I want you to jot down or think of as many different types of families out there. And I'm going to give you about 45 more seconds. Oh, Hallie uploaded her genogram, by the way, if anyone wants to see it. It's in the chat bar. I want to see it.
Did you use your stencils? I looked at it.
I sure did.
Why can't I download it? Oh, I have to save it first.
So are your parents only children, or do we not need to include aunts and uncles?
You can if you want to.
I didn't, because my dad has 13 other siblings and my mom has 3. And so it would just make a very busy piece of paper that wouldn't be necessary for like what I was trying to get in that genogram.
Cam, just 3 generations is fine.
I simply focused on relationships between me and siblings, and then me and parents, and then my parents and their parents.
Oh, can I show everybody? I have it pulled up on my screen. Do you mind if I show everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I do not mind.
This is her genogram.
It's way simpler than I think what I was trying to do.
Yeah, and it can be. It can get as complicated as you want it to. It really can, or it can be simple.
Yeah,
And
the
so
one I did for Professor Gilmore is, I think I made it way too complex.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is actually the one I just turned in for Gilmore.
Ah, nice. Okay. Good. Well, and I will say,
See it again in
the deeper you dig, the more you find out.
Yeah.
But this is essentially more than likely what your genogram. And see how Hallie circled herself several times.
Yeah.
So
Because I'm important.
that's an indicator that
ages they are now, or the age, I guess the age they are now, right?
yes.
Right.
Or where the X's are, that's the age they passed away. And that's why I have a legend in the top right, just based off of the ones that I use.
So you haven't, okay, never mind.
I like your stencils. Your stencils look really good. The shapes.
Her circles are so perfect. That was
Yep,
like,
they're perfect. I love it. And like, look at the cutoff bars. I love that too.
And those ones I freehanded.
I started to say that. So I don't think she had a stencil for that.
Oh, this one's really good. Okay.
Thank you.
No, this is great. This is perfect.
That is very encouraging.
So, what types of families, you guys can type them if you want to, or say them out loud. How many different types of families could you guys think of?
Blended.
Blended how?
Culturally.
I was thinking like step parents. when you
Step-parents?
said blended.
Yeah,
Stereotypical.
step parent. Okay. Anybody else want to throw some in there?
I was
Single
thinking either
parent.
immigrant or refugee families.
That's perfect. Was that Amy that said that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Well done. Yeah, okay. So kind of keep that in your back pocket. We're going to come back to that.
The
As we know, what's that?
foster parents.
Yep, foster parents is another one. So we know that no two families are exactly alike, even when they're the same type of family. Everyone's going to have their differences. Everyone is going to bring something special to that family arrangement. So let's discuss the importance of families. What is your why is your family important to you specifically?
The one I have now or the one I was born with?
Whichever one you want to comment on.
Oh.
So you can say something along the lines of my family is important to me because they're always willing to help me. Or they're important to me because when I'm sad, they try to make me happy.
I think mine is really important because there's so many things about who I am today that happen from both good and bad experiences in my family. Like
Okay, good.
the personality is here because of them.
Okay. So your family lent to your development?
Yes.
Or lent, okay. That's good. Anyone else want to comment? You don't have to if you don't want to, but.
I was gonna say, I don't know if somebody else is talking.
Paper,
But
rock, scissors.
I was gonna say, well, I went through and that little form that you put up at the beginning, that would have been great when I was trying to do calculations for everybody else in my
Oh.
family,
Mm-hmm.
and looked at how it was interesting the other day. There was a big family blow up between and it was funny because you showed that picture where the two guys were sitting there. One says, I owe it all to my family. The other one says, I wish I could just delete them, kind of situation. And that thought is my brother's and mine. I'm like, I owe it all to my family. And we're both from the same set. So it's just interesting how the different perspectives that are there. And you'd be so proud of my mom. She would sit there and say, well, we can't live like our parents did. We've got to change our thinking. We've got to go through. I was like, go mom, differentiation.
Wow.
So during the argumentation of not following the old paths of shutting down and closing off and all that kind of stuff.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Sounds like the family projection process.
Mm-hmm.
Tune into my discussion board.
Tune in. She's going to school everybody. All right. So here's a couple of families to start off with. We have your traditional nuclear family. It's also known as the conjugal family, family of procreation, elementary or traditional families. There's actually probably 4 or 5 more names to describe the nuclear family. The nuclear family is comprised of married partners and their biological or adopted children. And who thinks this is the most common type of family in the world? It is not. It is not the most common type of family in the world. Somebody chatted something. Let me see if I can get to it.
Holly said least.
It is. Yeah, I think it is actually. There's one that surpasses it by far. And it's on the next page. So there are strengths in a nuclear family. Some of the strengths are financial stability. Both parents generally work now in modern society. Children are raised in what they call a quote more stable parenting situation. There's more consistency. There's more of an emphasis on health and education, and there tends to be more focus on communication. Now, as we know, that's not always the case with nuclear families, but in general, those are the strengths that are potentially there for a nuclear family if they're willing to do the work. The weaknesses of a nuclear family, the exclusion of extended family can lead to isolation and stress. Nuclear families often struggle with conflict resolution, and nuclear families can become too child-focused, resulting in, drum roll, self-centered children and families neglecting other important things. My family had all the cons. That's pretty common.
Yeah,
It's
I
pretty
come from a
common.
nuclear family and we did not
Yep.
have those pros, but we had the cons.
Yep. And it's possible to have the the pros, but it takes work, as you can see, just in the couple weeks we've been in, or several weeks we've been in this class. Could you imagine if everybody in the family did this type of exploration work on themselves? You'd probably be set up for a better family situation. So the extended family is the most common type of family in the world. The extended family includes at least 3 generations: grandparents, married offspring, and grandchildren. And Shanna. Shanna's funny. The strengths of extended families are things like respect and care for the elderly are valued and important. More family around means that there's more help with chores, childcare, and in case of emergencies, there's people to rely on. So you have kind of this multi-generational structure where somebody is always looking out for the best interest of somebody else in the family. There's a lot of social support. Weaknesses in extended families, as you can imagine, financial issues can occur, especially if the parents are supporting several other adults and children without extra income coming in. And one of the other weaknesses of extended families is a lack of privacy, depending on the living situation. In order for anybody to have really solid privacy in an extended family type home, you'd have to have a pretty large house, to offer people little private getaways. Joint families are comprised of sets of siblings, their spouses, and their dependent families. It's not very common, but it's out there. I wasn't able to really find any strengths or weaknesses on that though.
Say that again now for
Blended
joint families?
Yeah, joint families are when siblings and their spouses live together. Did you get that?
Yes, I don't know of any situations of that.
Yeah, I would. Well, so I think of twins. I think of twins who often marry brothers or sets of family, and it happens. It's not as common, but it does happen. Yeah. Hallie said I would die. I don't know that I would want to either. But you know what? Let me take this back. When I was in college, now I wasn't married, so this is a little bit of a spin-off of a joint family. But when I was in college, my sister and her husband had their first child, and they asked me if I would be willing to come and live with them and be the in-home nanny. And they would offer me a paycheck and housing and food while I was in college. So this is how I was able to get through college without having student loans. So I was living with my sister and her husband and their child. The only thing that was missing was me being married. But it was a fantastic kind of blend of family, because I was an extension of the family, but I was still treated like family, not, like the help. So we all shared responsibilities. We had routines for cleaning and cooking, and it worked out really well. So I could see how it could, yeah, it would just depend on the relationships. My sister and I'm a super only, so she's 10 years older than me. We did not become friends until I was an adult. So around the time when I turned 18 is when my sister finally decided that I wasn't a spoiled brat. And I was of use to her. I suddenly became, somebody that could provide a service. And so it made sense. So I was like, oh, well, she's my big sister and I don't have to pay rent. So sure, I'll do it. So that I actually never even thought of myself being in that kind of situation, because I wasn't married at the time, but really that is more of a joint family. All right. A blended family. The blended families are on the rise throughout, especially the United States. Blended families are formed when divorced or widowed parents who have children marry each other. So I have a question for everybody in the class. Who is the ultimate blended/step family from the Bible? Oh, think about it.
Blended.
What was the definition again?
Okay, so a blended family is also a step family. Blended families are formed when divorced or widowed parents who have children get married.
Are you talking about like?
Say
I
it.
don't know. Well, I want to say
Ruth
something.
and Boaz?
Okay, that's what I was gonna say.
That
So
was
glad I
widow.
didn't say it.
Talking about like Jacob and Leah and Rachel and
Abraham and Sarah.
What was Joseph, you guys?
Joseph was Jesus's stepdad.
Yes, he was.
Oh.
Yes, he
That
was.
Sort
And
of kind of a
then
trick question.
Joseph and Mary had at least, what, 6 more children together? I mean, we know of Simon and James, Jude, and the girl.
The girl.
Salome. I can't think of her name. Yeah, so the ultimate step family is Joseph and Mary, and good old Jesus, because Joseph was not. Good old Jesus in there.
But
and
that
most people
wasn't
don't
a
think about
divorced but that wasn't a divorced or widowed family.
Well, no, it wasn't, but
Joseph was
immaculate
the
immaculate
biological
conception is
father.
only reserved for Mary. So I
But
don't think
if
that
you
was.
read between the
Well, the reason I'm saying that
Yeah.
is because it's not two different. There's not another marriage. There's only one marriage in that family.
But
there
he's
wasn't.
still a stepfather.
Yes, I guess so.
That's why I said it's kind of a trick question, because it's like,
It is.
yeah, he was the step or maybe adopted father ?
Adopted father, yeah.
But it's like it's God. So
Mhm. Yeah.
But no. I mean, that I think that's the point. I think that's the point of it. Like, anyway, it is the ultimate step family, because if you read between the lines in the scripture, Joseph struggled.
Yep, he did.
So he
I
struggled.
mean, think about when he found out Mary was pregnant. He considered leaving.
Yeah, an angel had to come and visit him and say, "Hey,
Yes,
listen,
an
bruh,
angel
it's
had to
gonna be,
come and
be all
say,
good."
"Hey, now this
Well,
is this
wouldn't
is."
that be the case for you? You know, like, if I
Yeah, I'd
could
be
Oh
like, "I'm
yeah.
out, I'm out, I'm out."
I'd be like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I already paid a
Yeah.
dowry.
So when already paid a dowry,
Dowry.
you got my 2 pigs and cow already.
Well, really,
Do you want to know something, you guys? What? Go ahead.
in the Hebrew culture, if you were engaged, that was as covenantal as as marriage. It just hadn't been consummated yet.
Mm,
But if you were engaged and you were going to break up, it was a divorce. You had to break the contract, the marriage contract. You had to. That was what a divorce was. It was a breaking, somehow disillusioning the marriage contract, because usually the marriage contract was done at the time of engagement. Now, in today's culture, Jewish people usually will not sign the ketubah, the marriage contract, until the day of the marriage, with the bride in her dress and the groom in his, groom's attire. Then they will sign the contract, and then they will get married. But yes, back in those days,
Oh,
it was
interesting.
it was a ketubah. There was a contract that had been done at the time of the engagement, and you were as good as married. You just hadn't had the celebration yet or the consummation.
Which proves Dr. Danny's point further of the ultimate step family. There was a struggle. There's a struggle. He's like, "What in the world is happening? I had a contract. I had this thing wrapped up."
And she's pregnant.
And she's pregnant.
And it's not mine. So there's only 2 logical kind of ways a normal person would think about this. Either my wife has been unfaithful, my future wife has been faithful, or I have to deal with the ramifications that are there, or in this case, be advised that no, she was pregnant with Jesus. So I mean, in this case, it's really interesting. Yeah, it's kind of because we don't really talk about step and blended families in this way when we talk about religion, but it's there. It's been there. It is really there. But sometimes we forget that just because it doesn't necessarily fit into our current thinking of the situation, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to ascribe the way we think of things now onto a lot of situations. And because it didn't quite fit that mold, it never would have crossed our minds to begin with. So there's a lot of acceptance and a lot of growth. And can you imagine the struggle Joseph grappled with going through that? And then they, of course, went on to have children together, which created half siblings, with everybody else. So anyway, I thought it was just kind of like a fun little fact. I will be completely transparent. I did not learn that, really think about it in that way until about 3 years ago, when one of my very dear friends who works with families, we were talking about step families, and we were talking about the evolution of step families and why is it so taboo? Why does the Christian faith have such difficulties accepting blended families or step families in a lot of cases? And then she just was like, well, Mary, I mean, I think it's because people forget the foundation of the faith, like where it was rooted, where it came from. And we just talked about it. And we had this really long conversation about it. And I was just sat there like baffled. It's like, oh my gosh, I've never thought of it in that way, but you're absolutely right.
But
So it was kind of neat.
Doesn't that make Mary actually a surrogate though? Not.
So yes, if you ascribed, because there was an actual physical connection, yeah, it would be as if she was
I don't know.
inseminated.
It's
Yes.
no more her DNA than it was Joseph's, technically, right? It was just a surrogate. So neither one were actually
No, it was
biological
no. I
parents.
Oh, I don't know, because surrogates can use their own DNA. So I don't know if I would
Also, I
be
mean, it
confident
like it
enough.
was like her.
It had to
I
be
Her
would
womb, her
DNA, or
body.
the way that
it would have to be her DNA if it was going to be from the line of King David, because she was from the line of King David.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So it would have
There
to
you
be her
go.
DNA.
Yeah.
And then it says that the sins of the fathers are passed down to the children. So that sense of the guiltiness of sin. And that was a reason why you couldn't use Joseph's DNA. It had to be, the Lord had to, that's why he's called the last Adam. The male portion of his DNA would have had to have been done by the Lord,
I know.
Look at Judy go.
Look at
created
that.
by
This
God,
is why
so
we
that he would
love
not
the
have any guilt of sin. He was born sinless, but he had to be from Mary's DNA because
There you
that was
go.
King David. That's why he's called the last Adam. He was the last man created without sin,
Without sin
or
originally.
And,
or the condemnation of sin. Yeah,
and he
sense.
called her his mother. So
We did that.
Isn't this fun though? I mean, did you ever think like you're like, oh, I can have a theological,
well,
discussion.
it really brings, I feel like, the Bible back to the ground in a way, like it makes it that much more realistic because it's still applicable to ideas that we hold today.
Yep. This isn't new. Blended and step families are not new. As much as we want to pretend that this is something that has come from our, maybe irresponsible decisions or bad things, or in some cases, widowing, but this has been going on for a long time. It's nothing new. It's
You know
just
what?
hasn't been thought of it.
You know what's kind of odd though is when you look at Abraham, and they did, it went ahead and took um, Sarah's servant and slept with her, but with that joining, there's been contention ever since. And you look at Joseph and how many wives he had, not Joseph, Jacob, and how many wives he had, and the contention that was in those boys. You had, some from Rachel and her servant, and Leah and her servant. And so there was also in Jesus's time, there was a sense of sometimes his siblings didn't believe who he was. Um, I don't know. It's just, we talk about blended families. Yes, it's a part of the human race, but it wasn't necessarily what God intended in the beginning. I mean, he gives real specific things that if a person is a widow, then she can remarry. But if it's a divorce, they're not supposed to remarry. I mean, Jesus even says that. They're not supposed to remarry. And imagine if in the whole world, all the divorced people never remarried, then would there be a chance that they could get back together again? Because then God could work in each one of their lives. But it does say that if a woman goes and, if a man goes and remarries somebody else and then divorces her and wants to come back and remarry his ex-wife, he's not supposed to. So it's interesting to see. I mean, Jesus said, it's not supposed to. So I know it's part of the human race, but I can't say that it's the what the Lord wanted the human race to choose, the avenue he wanted it to choose. Now, of course, in his own son, for Jesus to be born without the condemnation of sin, he had to be the one to create the DNA that was the male contribution. But anyway, I just think we have to be careful about that, to say, if it was a widow, yes, somebody could marry the widow. But and he did even say if it was a widow and she didn't have any kids, then one of the brothers of the original man, of her husband, one of his brothers was supposed to step up and give her a child, so that she would have a child who would be with her in her years remaining. But anyway, I don't know. I just think we have to be careful to say what's natural in mankind is what God wanted. I don't know.
I don't
That's
think
just
anybody
my
said that, Judy. I don't
No,
think
no, I'm
anybody
just
said that at all.
no, I'm just saying that it's something that I get sad sometimes when I see how quick people are to, instead of working out and counseling and giving people room to grow, they're quick to, well, I'm just going to cut off and go start something new. I don't know. That's just my own deal. That's just what I was thinking. But anyway, so
Okay, yeah,
I mean, I have a brother who's married on his fourth wife now.
yeah,
So
okay. Okay. So this, Shanna, did you want to, I can see you bubbling. Do you want to say anything? You're on mute.
No, I wasn't trying to say. No, I was talking to somebody else for a second.
Okay. I was like, she just looks like she's teaming to say something. There are strengths in step families. The children get the benefit of having, again, two parents around. Children and their new siblings or step parents can form strong bonds, especially if they have gone through similar situations in their family structure. Also, benefit of having two incomes compared to single parent families. There are weaknesses, of course, that can be present in step families. The adjustment can be very difficult, sometimes for parents and their children, and parenting the other children. Parents can run into problems trying to discipline each other's children. That is a common situation that you will run into when you're working with families who are blended or step families. And discipline among the families may be inconsistent. One parent may have a specific parenting style that conflicts or doesn't exist compared to the other family. Another family is family by choice. So this is a term that was popularized by the LGBTQ community to describe a family that is not recognized by the family system. A family by choice can include adopted children, live-in partners. It can be kin of each family member in a household, or it could even include close friends living in a household. And then single parent families. Single parent families consist of at least one parent with one or more children. Strengths, there are strengths to single family parents. Family members can become very close. They often form or can form very close bonds. They learn to share household duties, and children and parents in this situation tend to be pretty resilient, most likely because of the situations they've experienced. Weaknesses of single parent families. Families struggle to get by, sometimes on one income. Some are on social assistance because of the pay that's lacking. It can be difficult for parents to work full time and still afford quality daycare or any type of in-home childcare. And parenting can be inconsistent, especially if kids go back and forth between different parents. There tends to be a dad lets me do this, why don't you? Or mom doesn't, mom lets me stay up until 11 o'clock, why don't you? And sometimes it can just be that push pull all from one family to another. So now we are going to talk about the 6 functions of family.
Professor Dainty, when we go by the family by choice, you said they have live-in partners, close friends, they're adopted, but you didn't necessarily say strengths and weaknesses. So what's a weakness?
Well, strengths would be very similar to the other families in which there are multiple income earners, people who can help out in the family with chores around the house and childcare. Weaknesses would be that societal or social pressures from the outside, it can be, because it's a different type of living situation. And it could, obviously people in that home aren't going to see their living situation as bad, but society may. And so there may be some judgment that the children experience depending on where they live and the types of people that they hang out with.
Professor Daney, if you have a situation where like your grandparents are raising children, would that be considered family of choice?
No, that would probably be more of a blended family situation. I mean, you could consider family of choice, but typically family of choice, because that terminology was created for the LGBTQ community, it tends to only be used in that community. It doesn't mean it can't be used in other situations, but in general, for like in research, typically it's reserved for that community.
So to be clear, and not to step on anyone's toes by bringing it up, but if it is a homosexual marriage, so that would be two married parents with children, would that count as a nuclear family model, or is that still family by choice even though there's a marriage involved?
It would be nuclear family.
Okay.
Or family of choice, depending on who was writing the literature or who was perceiving it.
Based on biases and prejudices.
Based on biases and prejudice, yes. You are exactly right. You are exactly right. So in my practice, I would consider it a nuclear family. But there are lots of other practices that would not consider it a nuclear family. They would consider it a family by choice. Yeah. So it just depends on, and it's also important for the family to self-identify in those situations, because what we think might be correct may not be what they feel is necessary of representation of what they are. So, and there's lots of other family structures out there. These are just the main ones that tend to come up. There are lots of other ones. There's, I mean, I think I found at least 11 or 12, including sister wife situations, polygamy. There's a lot of different family structures out there. So these are just the top 6. You can keep digging. It's a big well. Pretty much anybody could probably, find their family structure if they did the work. But in general, most people are going to fit into one of those 6 types of families. Okay. So excuse me. Let me get over on the other screen. There we go. So 6 functions of the family are going to be socialization of children, maintenance and physical care, love and nurture, productions of service and goods, social control of children, and addition of new members. And it makes family sound really boring, doesn't it? These are just the way, when you talk about functions, this is why, this is what research breaks down in terms of why people have children. And so it's interesting. I have an only child, and I think from a counselor standpoint, I find humor when it's annoying, but I also find humor when people are like, "Oh, are you going to have more children?" I can't imagine just having one child, is what I've heard often, what people say. And in my head, I'm thinking, I can't imagine sharing the love among a bunch of children. Like, I just want to pour it all into my child. And, but because it goes against a lot of what society deems as normal, don't you want them to grow up with somebody to play with? And I think, well, I mean, I'm a pretty good playmate and we do lots of fun stuff. And he has friends, like so that's where we have to be really careful in terms of counseling and pushing our own perceptions of why children are important in a family, or why some people only have 1 or 2 or 3 children. So there are 5 traits of a healthy family, and we've discussed some of these along the way during class. Clear boundaries between family members lend to healthy traits. Family relationships are seen as important by all. Open communication between family members exists, and it's encouraged. And each family member has an attitude of service to the other family members. Conflicts are allowed, resolved, and forgiven. I don't know about you guys. I'd be interested to hear if you'd like to contribute. But in terms of 5 healthy traits of a family, are these common traits that you grew up with, or are these traits that you're striving for? Or is this the first time you've kind of heard them all in one place?
I actually wanted to say something when we were still talking about like the types of families.
Yeah.
It'll apply here as well.
Okay.
But so my parents were separated for a short while, about a year, and I actually think it was that separation that the Lord actually used to build our family's healthier traits.
Mhm.
And when we came back together and the Lord restored my parents' marriage, we like our family on this side of the separation is significantly better at showing these traits, as opposed to on the other side of the situation, even though we were a nuclear family,
Mhm.
going to church and all of that, it was not nearly anything close to healthy. So
Yeah. Yeah. And are your parents still together?
yeah, my parents are together. That's a story for another day, but my life is a movie. I'm just gonna tell you that. Crazy stuff is,
Wow.
but yes,
Wow.
my parents' marriage was restored by an act purely of the Holy Spirit.
Wow. Okay. That's really cool. Anybody else? No?
Shanna, read
Okay.
what you just said.
Why?
Because she can't see the chat.
Why can't she see the chat?
She's sharing her screen.
I'm sharing my screen. Oh, yeah, I didn't even realize there was a chat going.
There's a whole chat going.
Oh, there's always.
Is there? Oh, I love that y'all chat. Oh, look at that. Okay. Mind your business. I had the chat screen up, but then I changed screens, and when I did it, it popped it down. So, Sister Wives, I love that show. I know it's terrible, but I watch it. I'm so addicted to it. Oh my gosh.
Why did you
Cody
invite more
Brown.
drama into your mind with that
Mrs.
show?
Hannibal.
Okay,
So,
that's different.
do you know what's interesting, off topic, but do you know what's interesting about the Sister Wives is the therapist. I love that they all go to a counselor and they work on their family stuff. And first of all, I would never allow a camera crew in my office. That would just be ridiculous. I'd just be like weirded out by that. But it's so interesting that they're doing the work. So I'm like,
What do you
good for
think
them.
about what do you think about the therapy that they get in the homework? What do you think of that?
Well, I think, we only see a snapshot of it.
Yeah,
I think we
it's like
see,
5 minutes.
probably what's edited and I could not imagine. So the times that they have shown those sessions, my guess is that those sessions are actually probably 2 to 3 hours long. Because when I am working with a family, and it's just, maybe a parent and a child or two parents and a child, I could easily go an hour and a half because you're talking to three different people. And so I could only imagine what it's like when you add, more dynamics and harder in a different way situations
Oh
to
man, by far.
process. Yeah,
And then
I can only
the
imagine.
wife husband dynamic, and then his other three wives all kind of circle around when they're in a session talking about
Yep.
one wife.
Yep.
It's
But I mean, you guys, that therapist is just a normal therapist. And if you have watched the evolution of the show, because I mean, if it's, my husband calls it trash TV, but it is, but I love
trash.
it.
No, it's complete trash.
I love it. But these are people, and they live amongst us, and they're there. And it's we have to decide, that therapist probably was never trained to work with polygamous families to begin with, but she's like, okay, well, the principles, it's not my place to judge what they're doing. They're coming to me for help, and I have the skills and the skill set and the expertise to help them with healthy family relationships. And so that's what she's doing, so she's it's a pentagon. Yes, it is not I can't, those are some big overlapping triangles. I don't even know if there's a geographical shape that would be able to say that. Look at Judy. Judy just has this grin on her face, like this is a terrible conversation. She's biting her tongue. I can see it.
We're talking about sister wife.
I don't even watch TV, so so it's not something I would know. But my brother is Mormon, and so yes. So
is he fundamental, or is he the fundamentals are the ones that
he's pretty much Mormon, but he's got, he's on his fourth wife now, but he doesn't live with more than one at a time. He divorces and goes to the next. But anyway, yeah. So I don't really understand this. So
okay.
I don't understand what y'all are saying. I can only imagine. There was that time when there was going on. Was it in Waco when that guy had several wives?
That was a different. Whew, that was a.
Oh my gosh, there's a documentary on Netflix about that. It's called Waco.
Yeah.
Hey, Judy, I'm sorry. I do not believe you.
Don't believe me about what?
You don't watch TV, Judy. I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out right now.
I'll watch a video if it's one that I know is going to be good, but I don't watch TV. I don't even have the ability because I don't have like the connections you need for it.
Judy, it's time to come to Jesus right now.
Well, you can come look at my bill if you want to see.
I need you to put it on camera right now.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
I will.
I'm done with you, Judy. I'm done. I'm done with you.
Oh, Cam, you're so bad. Cam, what does your shirt say? I know what? I know your BP.
Yeah, your beats per minute.
Oh, okay.
What's fun? Oh, wait,
I don't know.
I don't know how to share.
Where's the bill? Where's the bill, Judy? Where's the bill?
I have it right here, but I don't know how to
just
share.
You can just turn it around and hold it in front of the camera.
We all.
Oh,
I want to see the no TV bill.
See, it's internet and wireless. Do you see internet and wireless? Can you see that?
Oh my goodness, that's great.
I see it.
Judy,
Okay.
you get TV with internet and wireless. It's free now.
But I don't know how to do that.
The proof is on the paper, okay, guys?
The class wants to see.
Log into Wi-Fi at school. I believe.
I don't have to.
Oh, Judy.
But now I did at one point. I did at one point. Somebody told me and they said, oh, you would like the Hallmark movies. So when I was living in an apartment at one point and they had that cable stuff, I did watch Hallmark movies, but then I realized a lot of those probably wasn't the best thing for me. So when I moved into my house, I didn't do that. But I
Judy,
don't know how to
listen.
watch a TV on the internet.
Listen, I need to tell the whole class this. When I first met Judy, I was joking around and I said, oh my gosh, that's a Jerry Springer moment. And she looked at me like, who's Jerry Springer? I'm like, she lying. She lying.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody knows who
Oh,
Jerry Springer is. Judy does not
yeah.
know. She
I've
doesn't
heard
know.
his name.
Wow.
I've
Yeah.
heard his name.
Why we do not make universal assumptions.
Now that is
There
good
you
TV,
go.
Judy.
I'm sorry, sir. What? I mean,
That is
what were
good
you saying?
TV. Jerry Springer is
Uh,
something you should definitely watch.
Oh gosh, no, that's horrible.
No,
No, don't
that
ever
is
watch
the last
that.
thing you should. Judy, just stay off the TV. You're perfectly fine.
Yes.
It's
Well,
just gonna
Yes.
I
mess
mean,
you
the
up.
scripture says whatever is pure, whatever is righteous, those are the things we're supposed to think on.
The Brigham
And so-
Young channel, that it's okay.
Judy.
That might be the BYU channel. That would be okay.
Judy. Judy, don't Jesus juke us. Don't Jesus juke.
No, but
Come
I'm
on,
just
you need
saying
to
that's why
watch.
I didn't. I mean,
You
I
need to
did the
watch
same
some
with my
TV.
kids. Okay, let me tell you one other thing, and then the subject will drop.
I'm done. I'm
My
messing with you.
husband, my
He's just
ex-husband
teasing
used to
you.
watch. No, I know, but my ex-husband used to watch TV. With my children, with our children, I always had videos. We had videos, something that I had
Oh,
seen
yeah.
or approved. Or I let them watch Mr. Rogers. That was the other one. They didn't even do Sesame Street. Anyway, so my
Mhm.
husband used to stay up late and watch TV. So there was a lot of things I could see my husband had pulling away from the family. He happened lots of times. So one time when he was in bed, the house was quiet. I went and turned on the TV. And when I turned on the TV, now it was the old timey TVs where it takes a while. It's a tube TV. It takes a while for it to come up. When it came up, a demon came out of the TV. The
What?
demon,
Stop.
yes, a demon came out of the TV and looked at me and was shocked that it was me, and immediately went back into the TV. So my husband had a hard time with his eyes, and so I shut the TV off. I said no. I mean, I was the same with music. There was certain Christian music I wouldn't let my kids listen to. I could be listening to the Christian author singing, and I would say something is wrong in their life. And then I'd find out that they were getting a divorce soon and they were marrying somebody else. And, but I could see it in their music. Even though they're singing about Jesus, you can see in the spirit what's happening. So when that Christian music would come on, my kids who had never really seen anything would all of a sudden start gyrating their hips and doing all this kind of stuff. And I thought, my kids don't know that, but it's coming from that music. I don't know. You remember how David, when he played certain music, the demons would leave Saul? There's also certain music that calls the demons. So anyway, that's just me.
Oh, Judy, that's creepy. That's like a poltergeist moment.
Lucifer was over worship, wasn't he?
Yes.
And
let's think about that one.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why, and I would rather be able to try and keep myself pure so that I can see things in the spirit versus be confused by all of the tumultuous stuff that comes on that's ungodly. And then for a while you start to think it's okay, and I keep reading the scriptures and I just see the Lord's heart. Anyway, so that's me. So you can fault me for what it is, but I'd rather have the intimacy that I have in spite of trauma. Yeah. So sorry. So it doesn't, so I know I don't fit in this group very well, but
Judy, you are fine. Don't say sorry. You're fine.
Nope,
It's
we
fine.
don't say sorry.
You
just bring a
sorry
different
for your
perspective. You bring a
Those are
different
your
perspective.
convictions.
Professor Danny, what is all those numbers?
Oh, it didn't do it. Hang on a second. I'm trying to post something. I don't know if it's gonna
What is
post.
all
I may
down?
have to
Did you
see.
hear that? I've
Hey,
never taken an English
Hey.
class.
What's all them
Hey.
numbers?
What's all them numbers?
Hang on a second. Let me save it real quick and then I'll upload it and you guys will appreciate this.
I thought
might
I
just-
thought that was actually like when it first popped up in the chat, I was like, oh my gosh, did I accidentally like post some random code in the chat?
Well, listen, Judy,
No.
if you do start watching TV, don't start with Sister Wives, or you're just gonna
Cam has
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I think
don't do it.
okay. Let me see if this will
the
post
fact
now.
that Diana thought it was me too, it says a lot.
Yeah, Haley, I
Okay.
instantly thought it was you actually. Thought you were sending over the Matrix.
Okay, see if you can click on it.
What is that?
Oh gosh.
Okay, that's literally how I feel. I cannot stand Hallmark movies. I can't.
Is this
Every single Hallmark movie? Some girl is
every
really sad.
single?
She meets a guy
Or
from random
Lifetime,
city.
or the Lifetime movies are just as bad.
Yes. Every
Yes.
Hallmark movie.
You'll get sucked into it for 4 days before you realize you've been sitting there watching the same movie over and over and over.
No, man,
Yes.
they need some dark skinned people up in there.
There's not many. There's
They need some more.
oh my goodness.
Yeah,
There's
and
a
all
show-
the black people are like light-skinned black people. They don't even have real black people.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Sweet
most of
Magnolia
them are
on
real,
Netflix.
but-
Have you seen Sweet Magnolia on Netflix? It's basically Hallmark, but an extended version, but it has quite a bit of diversity in that one. So there's a heavy set person. There's like not everybody looks the same.
PC, keep it.
Yeah.
To the person.
Cam.
No, mine doesn't click when I click everyone.
Mhm.
The only person I can personally message is Professor Daney.
Yeah, did you shut off our DMs?
Me?
Professor Daney?
I can't
Yeah,
either.
Oh no, I don't think so.
because I
may
may have talked to someone personally while we're in class.
Oh, it may have been a default. Oh, I wonder if Dr. Saunders did it.
Maybe because you told us the secret.
Maybe because I told y'all. I don't know. I didn't change it. I'll go through and let me see real quick. Hang on. I'll just take a second to let me bring up the little bar. It might take me a second to find it.
I'm gonna be sad when this class ends, y'all.
Aw, are
Me
you?
too.
I actually really love this. Shanna, are you a MFT student?
Mhm.
Oh, good. Then I'll
Yeah.
see you again. Professor Daney, do you teach any
Yes.
classes next semester? Because I couldn't find you.
She's doing
I'm
American
doing-
Family undergrad, right?
Practicum.
practicum?
Practicum. I'm
Yeah.
just doing practicum. Yeah. Professor Gilmore is teaching 2 classes next semester, though.
I
She's
did see that.
teaching.
I
She's
have her
teaching
for-
2.
I think I have her for ethics. One of the ethics ones are legal and business.
I think
and
she's
legal.
teaching. Yeah, and then
Something
she's
with
teaching
legality.
diversity.
Teaching what? Did you say Diaper City?
It's
Yes,
diverse.
that's exactly what she said. She said Diaper City.
That's a new LMFT class that is preparing
Damn, that's
everybody
so
for.
serious. I've seen you.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Diaper
So
City.
I don't have anybody. I don't have it changed.
She said diversity.
What did she say?
Diversity.
Oh, diversity.
And Diana's
my-
minoring in YPs.
Goodness gracious. Let's see. It says that you guys should be able to.
I
Talk to
can't
each
do
other.
it. You can't do it.
No, I only
It's
have
just it's just you.
Oh, that's weird. Maybe.
So if I click down here and I want to talk about Haley, I can't
I
dog her
just
out
need
behind her
everyone
back
to
right
know
now.
my name is Hallie.
I call you
It's
Hallie.
Hallie.
Berry.
I call you
You-
Hallie.
I've told Professor Gilmore this probably like 20 times, and she still calls me Haley to the whole class, and I'm just like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
accepting it.
Hey, but make an A in her class. You can call me what you want.
Well, you change your name every week, so we do.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
I only have one more slide for you guys, and then you'll be done for the night. Let me,
We'll get done so early. It's
but
'cause
we can talk about other things if you want.
Okay,
Well, I
are
was
we
gonna
supposed
say
to
it's
talk
'cause we
about the
didn't
video
talk
we
for
were
an
supposed to
hour.
watch last week?
Wait, what?
The video we were supposed to watch last week?
Oh yeah, we can talk about that one if you want to.
I thought it was terrible.
Oh, did you?
But Dr. Satir looked so pretty in that picture.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't. Okay. Why is this doing this twice? This is annoying. Okay, hang on. Let's go through it again. There. Okay. To help those who have not yet done their genogram, take 2 minutes and just do a little sketch of your family, just kind of your immediate family. You can just do your immediate family. And in the picture, draw something about your family that is important to you. So you may draw a heart, or maybe your family plays a lot of games, so draw a game. Illustrate something about your family that is something that stands out as endearing. Cam says, I'm drawing it in my mind.
Oh, you want us to really draw it?
Yes, I want you to engage. I want you to take a minute and just do something that is valuable. Cam, are those records?
Yeah.
Are
I
those your
have
Vanna
records
White
too.
shorts?
Oh, look at that.
I got Quincy Jones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've got Andre Crouch. This weird Rocky album.
Rocky album? Oh my God, I love it. That's great. Sylvester Stallone.
I got so many. I'm trying to see the best. Ooh, the best one. I got a Sesame Street album.
I love albums. I put on Simon and Garfunkel a lot.
Whoa.
Yep. I like them. I just love it. Paul Simon. So when you engage in something like this, like drawing something, or it's a strengths-based exercise, and you can do this with your clients. So you can, I have an office closet, and in my closet we have just got tons of pencils and crayons and scissors and magazines, and it's a way for families to talk without necessarily always using their words, but giving them something to do in session that depicts something that is important to them, or something that is meaningful to them. It doesn't always have to be about family. Almost like a vision board, for teenagers who are, maybe confused or don't know what they want to do. You can have them go through an exercise of cutting out things out of magazines that they love, or that bring them happiness or joy, or that they could see themselves one day doing. And then what they end up creating during that session, and then processing with you, because they tell you, well, tell me about your picture, what's there, and what is it about those things that makes you happy. What that does is help redirect the thought process back to there is hope in my life. When I stop to find it, sometimes I have to search for it, and there's a future there, if that's an exercise that you can see. it's attainable. And then you can say, oh, I see that, maybe you're really interested in hair. So what would it take for you to have to be a stylist one day? Let's talk about that path. Career wise, there's lots of different things you can do with people. Safe place. I used to work for Safe Place.
That's my sign.
That's what?
Family picture.
That's your sign? That's your family? That's a good one. That's a good one. But do you know what else doing things like this does is help tamp down the amygdala response. So when you've got clients that are with you that are anxious, or they're going through PTSD, or they're hypervigilant, or they're not being settled, when you engage a different part of the brain and you involve more than one sense, what you're doing is then it's deliberate, but you're telling the body, okay, you can start to regulate yourself now. You can start to shut off that, that hyper thinking or that hyper verbal talking, and now you can filter it into a focused item, and then be able to talk about it in a more rational way. So there's strategies for working with clients, especially with kids. Kids can't always find the words to express how they feel or how they want to talk about things. So when you involve things like art or sculpture or sand tray is fantastic. If you guys are ever working with children, I would encourage you to have a homemade sand tray. I do it with adults. If I know I have a complicated adult coming, I have one of the storage bins, that's shallow. It's about this deep and it's long. It's about 3 feet long. And I have the magic sand in it. And I will just sit it on the table in front, and we will start. And it is seconds, and their hands are in it. And it's amazing. There's a lot of research that says when you involve the hands, the words and the facilitation of processing occurs in a more naturalistic way. So Diana, yeah, I would advise you to do some education on sand tray, because there are certain things. So in a sand tray, the therapist isn't supposed to violate certain perimeters of the sand tray. You're always supposed to talk about it from the side or the underneath. You're not supposed to enter the sand tray. There's talking, there's conversations that you use to facilitate, what they've done in the sand tray in terms of little setups. Maybe they've created like a little family over here, or they've got, cars crashing, or it is not very expensive to do. And sometimes sand tray is offered for nonprofits. I'm wondering if TKU can get in on that, but sometimes they will do it for schools for very low cost or nothing at all.
Yeah, I did a adolescent counseling therapy course here for my undergrad here, and learning about that was extremely fascinating. And I thought the same thing, not just for kids, but for adults.
No, adults.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ask them, you just stick it there. And their hands, they look at it, they kind of fiddle, and sometimes they'll say, can I play in this? Or sometimes they just go in it. And it's just, I'll say, hey, if you want, you can just build things or do what you want. And they just start building. And it's amazing that we have removed our adult selves. We have, oh, that's a good one. We'll come to that one. We have removed ourselves from the power of play. There is so much power in the act of playing, even with adults. And when you bring it back, and now they have like little individual Play-Dohs. And so for COVID, you probably want them to have their own. So you could just have like a little goodie bag with just their Play-Doh in it, but they can play and they can mold and but just giving them fidgets, giving them stuff to do while they're talking takes the pressure off of sitting in this confined, room of 4 walls, which is already just kind of weird for a lot of people to begin with. And then that's why And that's why walk and talk therapy has become so popular recently too, is because it takes the therapeutic process and puts it in a facilitative process of walking outdoors. And again, you're just, you're outside of the confines of the sterile environment. And it provides people an opportunity to process differently.
Yeah, I was so intrigued by it. And I think my professor noticed and was like, "Hey, if you want to get into it, you get certified." But
Yeah.
you're the first one who told me it's not that much, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I totally want to do that now."
It's not now, with anything education wise, do your homework, get a look at everything that pops up. Like if you Google sand tray training, you're going to get something different if you do sand tray certification. So you don't have to be certified in order to do it. Certifications sometimes in the counseling world just mean that you're paying somebody more money for a certificate. So it now sometimes it comes with its own benefits in terms of maybe they put you on their website or they offer you a discount in insurance or something like that. But usually it's tied to a professional association. It's not tied to anything that's actually relevant to your license in terms of what you can and can't do. So training and certifications can be a little deceptive. You can do training without being certified. Now, if you want to call yourself a Bowen therapist, you have to be certified and you have to pay Bowen, the certification fee. I can call myself EMDR trained, but I can't say EMDR certified because I don't pay to be on their certification list. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't need to pay somebody else, $200 a year to be able to say I'm certified. I've gone through multiple EMDR trainings, advanced level trainings, but that's the difference. So you can say I'm EMDR trained, like you can say I'm sand tray trained, or I'm trained in sand tray. So you should look into it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I never knew the difference between certified and training.
Yep.
So that was a good lesson. Thank you.
Oh yes, they'll get you on that too, because there are a few things. So in order to be a art therapist or a play therapist, you are required to be certified in those areas. However, you can be a counselor that incorporates play therapy into your practice, or you can be a counselor that incorporates art therapy into your practice. You just can't call yourself a certified art therapist unless you've gone through that training. So it's you gotta remember, education, like most things, it is a business, and everybody wants a little piece of that action in terms of creating something. Here's something that you guys might be interested in, and I had just thought about it. Yeah, we'll share our pictures in just a sec. Only if you want to. You don't have to. It's not something that you have to do, but I do want to show you guys. I'm going to have to open up my browser. I think I dropped it down earlier. Why don't you guys show pictures while I look for this?
Well, I was also going to add that when you say keeping their hands busy, for some of my clients, that has been pivotal. Like I have a 13-year-old, and the other day I gave her like a part of a pool noodle for her to hit a pillow for some of her anger issues. And the level that she hit that pillow was very indicative of her external behaviors and stuff like that, of all the rage that's sitting inside of her.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it sounded like sometimes when she would hit it sounded like gunshots in the room.
Wow.
It was just, and then she didn't want to just hit it with a pool noodle. She wanted to kick the pillow. Then she wanted to hit it with her fist. Then she wanted to throw it on the floor, and just having her hands. And then afterwards, she was able to smile and laugh.
Wow.
And she didn't say any words when she did it.
That's cathartic.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, you need a punching bag.
Wow. So, with a lot of kids, especially with frustration and anger issues, if families can afford it, getting the punching bags is actually a really good idea, because it helps them get out the pent up frustration that they're dealing with. Cam, that's so funny. Oh, hang on. Let me pull this down here. Cam's a good artist. You can draw. Is that your son or is it you? Who is that?
That's how I imagine myself with hair.
Oh, how funny.
But yeah, that's my son. My son, I have a redhead son, but growing up, our family, and are you talking about our family right now? Or are you talking about our family of origin?
It does either one. It could be either one.
Well, that is a picture like kind of depicting my family of origin. We were jacked up, but like we always laughed, like we were just always laughing at something. Like that was our family. So that's why I drew that picture, because I'm like, you know what? We had some messed up situations, but
Oh, look at Hallie's high and by. Oh, laughing sometimes is the only thing that keeps you sane.
Mine is very, what's the word when you say like it means something really deep? That word. Mine
You
is
mean
very,
something?
there's some deep messages behind this.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's BY or BYE?
It's BYE.
High and by.
The E was like, phew,
Yeah, that's why I was like, high and by.
Yeah, so
Very
basically
cathartic.
what I love about it's cathartic. What I really love about my family is that they leave me alone. I'm not even joking. They leave me alone. And like I can, because I'm very introverted. And so I like to just come home. I know, Diana. Don't make that face.
He's not. Cam, you're not going to call her out, but you called Judy out. She just said she was introverted.
I am an introvert. Being around people completely drains me. But anyways, back to the point. My family is aware of that and respects that, and they don't over intrude and walk into my room and bother me and all of that. And they ask me before they ask me before they talk to me, because they're like, they realize I may not always have the mental capacity to have a full conversation. And so very solid boundaries in my family.
That's a good picture. Judy, did you get a haircut?
I did actually. Yeah, I went and
it looks nice.
I like it. I like the cut.
It looks good. I was just sitting here going, she looks different.
Oh.
It looks good.
Thanks. Hallie, sometimes I think it's because of your depth as a person and the things you think of, and you are processing a lot. And so sometimes you need that space to process because you think deeply, I think.
Are you an empath, Hallie?
I don't, is that on a test?
I don't know. It might be. Not on my test, but we don't have a test in this class. But empaths tend to, they're like sponges.
Like a personality test.
Like, oh, it may be. I'm not sure. I haven't taken one in a long time. Empaths tend to absorb the emotions of others, like sponges.
No, I would say that's more like my sister.
Okay.
I'm very quick, because in addition to I actually feel like this is why I do this, but like, because sometimes I just don't have the mental capacity to entertain a conversation that is a little heavy for me to think about. I actually can cut people off very easily, like unfortunately easily. Like I can just not talk to you ever again. And I'm kind of the black sheep in my family in that way, because my sister, she'll always be like, oh, I need advice on this, and this happening with my friend at school. And I'm like, just stop talking to them. And she's like, how could you ever do that? And I'm like, really, it's easy. Like, it's really easy.
Just save yourself the drama. Run away now.
I don't know if I know I am an INFJ on that.
On the Myers, is that Myers?
Briggs.
Yeah. Okay.
But Yeah, I'm a person who I think a lot before I talk about things.
Okay.
And like when people say things to me, I may not always reply immediately because I just like process them.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share? Shut up about my 80s shorts. So Shanna asked a little while ago if Cam had talked to Dr. Reed about training overseas, and Cam mentioned
She loved it. She loved the idea, and she mentioned another professor probably wanting to head something up like that, but I forget the person she mentioned.
Oh, I wonder who it was. Not Dr. Hoover, somebody else?
No, I'm gonna look on my phone real quick to see what she said.
Okay. Well, if that opportunity comes while all of you are still in school, that would be fantastic.
So,
I would go. I would pay to go.
what was the opportunity that he was talking about?
It's a solution-focused conference in Europe. So it's a modality of that some counselors use. Cam likes the solution-focused modality.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Metcalf.
Oh, that's Linda Metcalf. Yeah, she's at Texas Wesleyan. She is actually a giant in the LMFT solution-focused field. So I don't know if you're familiar with her or
nothing else you can use. Actually,
what's that?
Like religiously SFNT.
Oh yes.
She's solution-focused narrative therapy.
Yes.
And like basically created her own blend.
She has. So do you remember a couple of weeks ago when I mentioned a free training person is Elliot Connie? Elliot Connie trained under Metcalf, and I don't think he actually finished his PhD. He was at Texas Wesleyan doing his PhD, and what he did was create this empire of solution focused on his own. But I'm not sure if he finished it or not. But he kind of took that knowledge that he absorbed at Wesleyan and then created a solution focused empire on his own. I like solution focused to a point. I mean, I think it has its benefits, but when my friends try to use it on me, I tell them to stop. I'm like, stop it. Quit using the language with me. I hate it. I wanted to show you guys this. Can you see this website? This is the Trauma Support Services website.
Sorry, we weren't answering. Yes, we can.
No, that's okay. I'll just keep on going. I just so you know, I have it on here that you guys can chat with everybody. So it must be something that TKU.
Now it's disabled.
Yeah.
And it says
Turn this
disabled.
off.
Are we talking too much?
That's so funny. Yeah, it has on here that you guys can do it.
John Michael probably said, "Man, I wish they would shut up."
He turned our chat off.
He turned.
I think it's therapeutic for students to be able to chat. With. I mean, you already know the professor can see it if they want to.
But you turned us off.
I don't know. It's turned on.
No,
I didn't do
you
it.
Disabled us.
It's
The
disabled.
chat is showing as
You
disabled.
disabled us.
Like literally, you guys, I haven't touched anything.
Like literally, you've just disabled us.
No,
Judy.
I haven't.
We miss.
I haven't touched
Judy,
anything.
Judy, watch something on TV to figure out how to turn this back on.
We could chat till like a minute ago, and then you stopped us.
I didn't. I haven't touched anything. I opened up a website.
Jana, stop blaming her.
It's probably a Zoom thing. Hold on. Let me go into the main Zoom. Let me go into the main Zoom real quick. There must be something going on with Zoom.
I feel
Judy, I'm just messing with you.
Holly,
Come
what's the
on.
C?
it's
No,
cognitive.
you're muted. I can't hear
Oh,
you.
I know. It's okay. It's okay.
Well, you better not mess with me like that, Cam, because I won't take it. We'll have
What are
an
you talking about?
off over here.
What are you talking? You're just happy because you're alone in your room.
I'm actually alone in my whole house. No one is home right now. I don't know where they are, but I'm glad.
That's why you're getting all bold. you're in your comfort zone talking on that trash.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. It's disabled. It's over.
Mm-hmm. It's broken. We broke it. You're
Okay.
Diane.
I don't want us talking over you as much as we've been talking in the chat.
So somebody go in, somebody close their chat and then go back in and tell me if you can now chat with each other.
No.
No.
Because it's clicked. Look, I'm gonna show y'all.
You can show us, but we can show y'all. I can screen share.
Let me
Can you
turn it
chat
off.
with us? Can you send something out?
Oh yeah, let me try.
This is gonna be my background next time.
You said, can you see it? But we can't reply.
Oh guys, I mean, I
This is
literally.
gonna be my background next time y'all see me.
Okay.
Okay.
I need you to wear that hair too.
Mine's back.
Oh, it's back.
Oh, now it's back.
I'm telling you, I didn't do anything. I think it just glitched. I think it may have been.
Something's up.
Now we can go back to our conversation. Finish class.
Oh my gosh, that was weird. Okay, I am going to show you guys this website for several different reasons. This is Trauma Support Services. It used to be called TSSNT, Trauma Support Services of North Texas. The reason why this is relevant for you guys is right here under training, they have free trainings all year long under this one right here where it says certificate and trauma therapy. And when you click it, I want you guys to look at the two different certificates that they have. So you'd have to start off with the basic. All of this is free. You will get trained in trauma-informed care, neurobiology training, trauma and resilience, compassion fatigue, vicarious trauma. I mean, this is awesome, and it's all year long. And right now, everything is technology based, even though if it says in person, it's until, I think they're looking right now of staying virtual through June, I think. And then once you have completed the basic training, you can then hop over to the intermediate and then look at all the other trainings that you get. It is remarkable, and it's all free. And when you're fully licensed, all of it will give you CEUs, but as an intern, you're not required to have it. But it's a 54-hour program, and it's all year long. So it's spaced out. You know, they're usually 2 to 3 hour trainings. And you will come out of this with experience to be able to work in any kind of trauma support arena, whether it be in hospitals, one-on-one counseling, church members. You have to, unfortunately, for those who aren't going to be counselors, you can't do it unless you are in the mental health field. But the majority of you in the class are future counselors. So this is one of those that you're going to want to bookmark, because one day you're going to want to seek out free training, because all of this would probably cost you a couple $100s if you didn't.
Can we do it as while we're still in school? Or does it not count?
No, you can. You still can. Okay. However, here's what I would say about that. Unless you are already in practicum, some of the material may be lost on you because you're not going to have the foundational stuff that school gives you. So I would say a really good time to start this process would be either going into practicum or, Hallie, that's cute. Or when you're getting ready to, or maybe the summer before. Cam says, I have 3 student clients I'm messing up right now. It's easy
I'm
to
joking.
do.
I'm joking. I'm not messing them up.
Trauma pays the bills. Yes, it does. It does indeed. So no, you can do this, but what they will see, because it's not limited to, but what they are going to limit it to is that you have to be already relevant, competent to do this. So if you can't go in as an accounting student and decide you want to do trauma support therapy. But you guys bookmark this, because this is going to be something that will be of interest for you as you progress and learn. And you can't beat free, and it's solid. I mean, it's really good material. So in terms of my lecture, that is all I have. Just wanted to talk about families tonight. It's almost 8 o'clock. Do you guys have any questions for me? Is there anything that you want to discuss?
I did have a question, Professor Danny. You
Yeah.
know how the previous paper we did, you allowed me to send in a separate attachment my scores and everything. Are we able to do that too with this genogram paper?
Yep, you can. You'll be able to attach multiple files.
Okay. That
Yep,
was
you
it.
sure will.
Thank you.
Yeah. When is the paper due?
December 6th.
Yeah, it's still a pretty good ways away, like 4 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks. And I don't have a final exam for you guys. So you guys aren't required to do a final exam for this class. So that last week, you guys can just enjoy
Where
not
can I
having
send
a
you an
final
apple?
exam.
So does that mean oh, December 6th our paper is due. So do we have any classes after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, technically there's 2 more classes, but the last class is finals week, but I don't have a final for this class. So you guys you're not required to attend. I mean, if we wanted to have like a virtual Netflix party or something.
Oh, we should have a little potluck.
We can't be on campus. So we had to, all the professors had to send in their exam schedules because of the room reservations and the COVID restrictions. And so for those of us who weren't having an exam, we can't be on campus because there's no, they are trying to do the schedule for those who need to be on campus. I know, it kind of stinks. Oh, Cam's birthday is December 6th.
Yep.
Oh, we could meet somewhere. That is true. That would be fun.
Waffle
Although I'm pretty
House.
sure a restaurant is where I get COVID, so we need to sit outside.
Yeah, Torchy's has patio space. But also it will be freezing.
Oh, will it? You think it'll be cold?
It gets dark at like 4:30 p.m. and then it's like, and also when I say freezing, I mean below 60 degrees.
Oh, Hallie, you're so funny. Freezing to me is like 45.
No, 45 means don't leave the house.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I got COVID from eating out. That's the only place I've been where my mask left my face.
How's your son?
He's perfectly fine. He is perfectly fine. He hasn't had a symptom or anything. My husband barely had a symptom. So my husband, it was just like a non-event. So I got hit hard. It's hanging in there. But Judy, did you have something?
I have a question about, did you say that there was a website that would do the genogram things?
There is. I have not used it, but I think Cam are you using it, Cam?
Yes, it's called eDraw.
Could you share that with Judy? Could you do a share screen?
Could you chat it?
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now.
You can share screen too. I think I've given you guys the ability to do that.
And
just
on
gonna tell
our
you where
paper,
I got it.
what are you wanting, Professor Dainty?
So, so you'll do your genogram, and you can either include it in your paper or do it as a separate document. And you can upload multiple files into Blackboard. So if you wanted to upload the paper and then the genogram, you can, or if you just wanted to copy and use the snipping tool to copy and paste it into your document, you could do that as well. Just write about your discovery of the process of the genogram. I don't know if Rosa had already completed hers. I don't know if she's willing to talk or share about it, you know, like how she did her paper. But if she is, I don't want to pressure her or anything, but she did an awesome job of it.
I think, yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
Her internet
Hello?
is,
They have a free one, Cam, or it says free on the website.
yeah. So what it does is, if you, when you try to save it, it does a little, it puts their logo in the background, so it superimposes their logo, so you can't. So when you say, you can save it, but you're not saving a version that you can turn in, if that makes sense. So
you'd have to
so-
snip it, like use a snipping tool.
yeah, you can create it and save it and do all of that, but if you wanted to export it and if you want to export it, then it's not going to let you do that. But you can do it and screenshot it and save it. It's awesome, and it saves you the time of having to draw all that stuff.
Are you guys familiar with the snipping tool on your computers? Okay, let me show it to you. If you have, it's called Snip, SNIP, and then the ampersand for the and symbol, and Sketch. If you have a PC, in the search bar at the bottom, if you just type Snip and Sketch, I'll show you what it does.
No, Snip and Sketch is amazing.
I snip a lot for work, and you can also like put it in a Word doc and then save the Word doc with the image on it.
Yep, that's pretty much what I do. So this is Snip and Sketch right here. And so what you do is you click New, and then what you can do is you highlight whatever it is that you're wanting to copy. Oh, it's probably because I'm trying to share my screen. But then what happens is once you do that, you click, let me see if it'll work there. Yeah, so it's like I just copied the box from here, and then right here, there's a copy button. And when you click it, what that is Control C, it's copy. So now if I were to open a blank document and hit Control V, see how it did it? And then I don't know if you actually can see this one or not. I don't know if it transferred over. But when I copied and pasted it, this is what it did. And then you can manipulate the size of the box, or the image that you just put in there.
I don't have that on my Mac.
No,
Who has
it's a
a
PC
Mac
program.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it as being PC. I don't know what Macs have.
Is it snipandsketch.com or?
No. So Judy,
No,
in
no,
your
no.
on your
Look, I put the link in
computer,
the chat.
it's on your computer. So down in your search bar, beside your Windows button. I wish I could share like my main screen and show you, but
Actually, Judy, I've seen your computer, and I'm not sure you have this. You've updated to the latest Windows version that adds Snip and Sketch to it.
It used to be called Snipping Tool. So yours might still be under the word Snipping Tool. So in the files, Yeah, in the files, you can type in snip or snipping, and it should take you to it. You're on mute.
My computer's really old. It's 2013.
Oh, you
Yeah,
should still
so
probably have, you probably have snipping tool then.
man, if we were live, I would
Let-
show you how to do it. I wish we were
I
live.
know. Let me see. Let me
Oh,
see
I
if I
see
can do
it. I
this.
see it. I see it.
There it is. Yeah. Okay. See, like for me, it's right here. And then I bring it up and I type. And then there it is. So see, it used to be called snipping tool, but now the new one is snip.
Okay.
So on
Oh my God.
Rosa, we can hear you. You may not be able to hear us, but we can hear you. So if you want to try to tell us about the paper, I know they would probably love to hear it. But if it's too difficult being overseas, don't worry about it.
I'll be happy to share. So what do you guys like? How did I do the genogram, the picture, or
The paper.
how
I think they're more interested in the
organized
paper.
my paper? What is it? Oh, okay. So my my parents are no longer here, so they are both deceased. So what I did, I actually contacted one of my aunts, and I'm visiting one of them actually here in Brazil. And so we spoke over the phone, and I just gathered all the information. What I did, so I divided the beginning of the paper. I spoke about my family of origin, my parents and my brother. And then I shared about my marriage and my divorce. I thought was, a good thing to share how, since we're working with, families, and we probably will, as family therapists, maybe deal with couples, divorce situations and all. So I thought, well, just analyzing my own relationship with my ex-husband, mentioned about the spirit, the people who were important in my life, and how I was influenced by them. What else did I spoke about? Let me see if I can remember the whole thing. So my marriage, my divorce, my brother's marriage, so my brother's nuclear family, and also some of my ancestors, because my aunt, she told me that one of my cousins, he paid a professional a few years ago to do a family tree. So I was really surprised to find out a lot of things that I didn't know about my great grandparents. It was like born in the 1800s. That was amazing. So my cousin had all this, and I was like, oh. So it was very interesting. So this is how I actually organized. I spoke with, about my family of origin, and then I mentioned about my marriage and my divorce. We didn't have kids, so then I spoke about my brother. I only have one brother, and his, relationship with his wife. And I told a little bit about my ancestors, and what I thought was very amazing is just to really observe how the patterns you can really notice how the patterns go from generation to generation, and the trends, and how amazing it is. I was amazed just to observe things in my own relationship with my ex-husband, how it was so similar to the relationship sometimes that I had with my parents, especially my father. So how we transfer, in our own relationships later from generations, it was amazing. So that's how I did. It was fun. It was very challenging, but it was a great experience. So especially
Thank
find
you.
out a lot of things from my aunt and things I never knew about my great parents. So
Yeah.
and well,
That's good.
thank you for letting me
Thank you for
letting
sharing.
me share.
No, thank you for sharing all the how long are you going to be in Brazil?
Absolutely.
How long are you going to be in Brazil?
I will be here probably I will leave before Christmas or after Christmas. So I'm flying standby, which is a way to save some money. One of my good friends works for American Airlines. I get every year one pass to fly. In a way to have the ticket, it's open ticket. I don't have a date scheduled to fly back. So I depend on him to call me and say, go to the airport, you can fly today. This is a good day. The flights are pretty open. Or, wait for one more week. Don't fly this week. But also I'm a little scared about the COVID situation. I think in Brazil, we see a lot of cases increasing here. And some of my family and friends were mentioning that the flights, they don't know what's happened. So we never know, if something happened in the airport, they close the airports, I hope not. So I'm kind of depending on, the flights to be open to fly back to Brazil. So hopefully everything will be okay. But the plan is maybe go back either before Christmas or after Christmas. He needs to tell me how flights are and how they look like. If it's empty flights, maybe I will try to spend Christmas here. It'll be awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great.
I can hear you guys, but very, very, I think I hear a few words and then cuts off. It's like, sorry, the communication is terrible. So I hope you guys can hear me clearly. So
we can hear you just fine. So you're coming through on our end just fine. Does anybody else have any?
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yes, remember at the very beginning of class, you showed, whose was it? Because I was trying to drive home. Their list of all the different things. They came up with some big long list of.
It's in the chat bar. Look at the chat bar. Are you talking about that? The self-assessment score?
Let me see if I don't have it. I mean, I have it in my chat bar because I wasn't there. Yeah, chat didn't start for me till 7:41.
I just posted it.
Oh, and that's the self-differentiation. Oh,
is that the one you're talking about?
Oh, let me open it. See if I can open it. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, download it. Keep it for yourself. You can give it to clients or you can give it to friends.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions or anything that they want to talk about?
Can we is it possible for us to email you as we're working on our genogram? Because this is really hard for me.
I can, hold on, let me send a document real fast that was really, really super duper helpful for me.
Oh, that would be nice, Hallie.
There's so many.
I think it's from genopro.com, I want to say. So
I'm having trouble figuring out what all questions to ask. Like, I'm one of those people that if you just send me a list of questions, I'll ask all of them, but.
So, but it's really up to you. It's really up to what you are interested in finding out. Or, I mean, really, it's just in general. You can just do, So do you remember the last class that we had 2 weeks ago, the PowerPoint? There was a list of questions on that. Yeah, names, dates, what their relationships were like.
'Cause I haven't spoke to these people
How
in like 5 years, so it's if I can get them
kind of
to
awkward.
answer the email, it's better if I just already had a list.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think it could work one of two ways. I mean, I think you could do it that way. Um, but sometimes the idea of calling somebody up and saying, I know this is awkward, we haven't talked in a while, but I have a project due and I really want to try to put my best foot forward. You don't have to participate if you don't want to, but would you be willing to help me out? And just be okay with them saying no. And if that's the case, you can just say, okay, thank you. I just wanted, it was worth
I'm
me
okay with them
trying.
saying no. I just need to make sure you're okay with them saying no, because that's the whole
Oh, of
half
course.
of my family. Like my mother's half will not be on there, period.
Yep, and that's perfectly fine. And you would write about that. So that would be one of the areas that you would include on your genogram, whether that was a result of a cutoff or whether that was estrangement or that was, there's a reason why that communication was broken off in the first place.
Okay.
Okay, so Hallie just posted
That was in
something
our
that might help.
PowerPoint, right, Hallie? Did she, the PowerPoint that she posted on genograms, wasn't that in there?
This key, I didn't get it from this class, no. Well, I mean, she could have posted it, but I don't. This I got from Advanced Counseling Theories when we did a geno project, and I just found it easier to go off of this because it just goes off of like the basics and then relationships and then addictions and medical conditions and illnesses, which it like covers a whole ton of information.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a good one.
So what if like somebody's marriage has changed like multiple times, like, divorces, separations, not cohabitating about like 10 different times. But the
Yeah.
current status, like as of like last week, speaking of my parents, is now they're back together, everything is fine. So how do you show that like over the last 39 years of my life, it was back and forth like that all the time?
There's one
That
for
would be
that. Hold on, let me find
I
it.
looked, I just couldn't find anything. Because it was like half the time they were filing for divorce, half the time they were just separated, sometimes legally, sometimes not, sometimes cohabitating, sometimes not, sometimes just fine. It's like, I don't even know how you begin to put all those squiggles and lines and marks.
you would probably include, so in that regard, I would just indicate marriage and divorce and separation. So if there's a separation, I would do a separation line with a date. And
Okay.
then the next line would be back together. And then I would just, it's going to look messy, but that's okay. So I will say this, genograms are a challenge for anybody who likes order and organization when they're figuring it out, because it is anything but that. When you really dig deep and the more you put into it, it just starts to look like spaghetti. And it does a number on your brain if you are kind of like that type A personality, or like me, I call myself a type A minus, because I can deal with a little bit of disorganization, but genograms they're challenging because you want it to look neat and tidy, but the fact of the matter is, unless you're using a program that's going to do it for you, it's gonna be a little bit sloppy.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
Yeah. So you are not graded on in I grade in terms of, um, did you understand the genogram process? Um, was I able to see that you understood the genogram process in terms of some of the symbols that are there? And then your paper really is, the meat of it in terms of explaining your genogram. So I'm not going to grade you on um, tidiness or creativity. I mean, I think if you can get as creative as you want to, but you're not required to. Anybody else have any questions?
One of the things that I noticed going back and looking at my family, on my father's side, all the women were educated and held in fairly high regard. On my mother's side, the women were more sex objects.
Okay.
And there was a lot more drugs, alcohol on my mother's side. Consequently, my mother didn't let us see her family much. But anyway, I think that might be why my mother sometimes overlooked some things, I guess, maybe. But it's kind of hard to go back and look at all that stuff. But anyway, and I have, I keep trying to look for those things that are the tied in, the fusion things. But it's kind of hard since, like so many of my kids are deceased and my mom and dad are both deceased, and I don't know. I'm struggling with putting it together. I have called one of the last living aunts, but she was only an aunt by marriage, not by family.
Okay. But she might be able to add some, like be a historian for you.
She did. She was able to say a few things and say something about my grandfather, so that was good. Yeah, nice. I mean, and I've gone back actually pretty far. So my great grandmother was from the Ivory Coast, and there was a marriage with a plantation owner, and yeah, so that's what I'm from.
Wow.
On one side, and so then on the other side, my grandfather.
So Judy,
Indian.
Do you know something that's interesting that I have noticed in terms of conversations? There's a theme that runs throughout your life that, at least that you've shared with us anyway, in terms of something that might be interesting to put in your genogram. But you've spoke about your ability to be able to sense and perceive things spiritually, or in a I don't want to say necessarily prophetic, but maybe prophetic way. And you've had life events associated with religious events. Like earlier when you said, like you had the TV on and a demon came out of the TV. Like that is not something that a lot of us have ever experienced. So I'm wondering, are you the only one in your family that has ever experienced those types of things? That might be something that you might try to track down to see if that's something that runs in your family. Maybe other people don't talk about it because it is different, and not everybody, would be okay with sharing that information. But you may not be the only person in your family that possesses those types of intuitive abilities.
Yeah, I could talk to my sisters, but like all my aunts and uncles, there were 8 aunts and uncles on my father's side. 8, there were 8 kids on each side of their, they're all dead. They're all deceased.
Yeah. And so, however, you may find that asking the right questions, like explaining, there have been times when I have felt things were going to happen. Is there anybody else in the family that you can think of that would mention that? Do you remember,
what? I do,
anyone else in the family?
I do. My father actually, before the accident where they were killed, he used to say, when you're driving, you really have to be careful about the people on the other side of the road that are coming down. and that's exactly what happened, is that they hydroplaned and then crossed the median of I-35 and then was hit broadside by a car that was southbound.
Holy smokes. Wow.
That's how, and then of course my daughter, she, before they left, my mother said that she came outside. My mother often was outside, and she came outside after the kids, she kind of helped, get her siblings all, bathed and in the bed. And she came out to talk to my mother and said, "Grandmother, there's just something that I need to know. Do you know Jesus as your Savior?" And she goes, "Oh, yes, honey, I do." And she goes, Does Granddaddy know?"
Mm.
And she said, "Yes, he does." And then my father, at the very end of his life, really, I think, came back to the Lord right before he died. But anyway, she's asking all these things, and then she's going to die the next day.
Mm.
And you know how it is, how you always want your family members to be saved. She's kind of going around and doing. So I know that what I have, my kids understood, because I wanted to keep them pure so they could see things. And my mother was very sensitive. She loved the Lord. She was a quiet soul. But anyway, I don't know. And yet my father, is saying things. So there were a lot of people who did, yes, see things. I mean, like my little Sarah, who was 8, wrote that letter, which I found after she was killed. I found it at home where, because I often wondered, did she know? Did she know? And then I find the little letter she had written, "I'll be there with you, Lord." So there's lots of sweet things. And when I found sweeping the house, she had torn it up and put it in the fireplace like Mary Poppins. But when I found those 2 scraps of paper outside when I was sweeping one day, and of course I was missing them, and I found those 2 scraps of paper, the Lord said, "You're going to want those 2 scraps of paper." So I go put them in the buffet, and then Satan says, "People are going to call you nuts. You're saving their scraps of paper." I mean, I could see it was their handwriting, which the children's handwriting. And anyway, when we later found the letter, I ended up believing Satan. I didn't want to be called crazy. My husband already said I was crazy. Nobody, that I was worthless and that, I was crazy because God doesn't speak to people. And anyway, but had I kept those 2 scraps of paper rather than stuffing them in the trash and taking them outside because I was afraid people would call me crazy, then when we found the letter, and maybe I can go find it in case Cam doesn't believe me, it has those holes in it. And I know the shape of those holes when I finally pieced the letter together. Those were the pieces the Lord wanted. Had I been able to go to that buffet and pull out those scraps of paper and say, "God told me to keep these scraps of paper, that I'd want them. And here they are." And I could finish the letter. And that was, so anyway, yeah. So I don't know, maybe that is something I need to go back and ask.
I think it's pretty fascinating. I think it's something that's worth looking into. I mean, it's obviously a running theme throughout your life. So I think it would be really interesting for you to explore that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, that's it, you guys. I don't have anything else for you. We have one more class before Thanksgiving break. And I think it's probably safe to stay online, considering yet another, I'm still coughing my head off, but there's just more and more people. Another email came out again about COVID on campus too. So sorry. Sorry. Judy, I believe you. It's like, it's little boys, when little boys like their friends, they pick on them. That's all. Cam's just giving you a hard time because you're his friend.
He told me this before we started that I needed to go to Kairos because I needed a hug and I would really benefit from it. So he was mean to me today too.
I am not being mean. Listen, if I'm cutting up, I'm having a good time.
And then he told Hallie not to go out with me. Not just
Because-
you.
Because Hallie is she's an introvert and she's an introvert, and
Hey,
I'm
I
afraid
think
what would happen.
I sent her the definition because I think she has it confused. So I sent her the definition so she could read that. I don't think she knows what that word means.
So introverts,
The definition.
I'm a hybrid. I'm probably a lot like Hallie. I am an introvert in situations where I am not comfortable or with people that I know. But if I'm with people that I know, I'm okay. I'm a different person. But otherwise, I'm a watcher. I'm an observer. I kind of hang back in the limelight. I'm not a part of that limelight. I'm a mix, and so like I can
social limelight person.
What's that?
I'm not a limelight person.
No.
No.
In general.
No. I just act that way. On stage and I'd freeze.
I do think hugs are good. I don't know if Kairos is going to be giving hugs, but I think hugs are good. That's one thing I used to do with my kids.
They are good.
Tucking them in. And my 21-year-old still asks me, Mom.
I think they're very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like them.
What?
From strangers, I don't think I would want one from a stranger. But
no, not from a stranger.
Yeah.
I don't.
Serotonin. Shanna, just think of the hugs as it's a nice serotonin. It's like a hit of Prozac.
It's like one of those freeze. It's a flight or flight for me, not a serotonin. It's a danger. Run away.
Yeah, that could be. I could see that. Well, you guys are great as usual. Hallie said.
I told you he's on a roll today. He's picking on all of it.
No, man, I'm having fun. This is a great class.
You guys are always fun. I appreciate that you engage and that you talk, and as Cam would say, cut up.
Happy birthday.
Whose birthday?
Our Hallie just turned 23.
What? Oh, happy birthday.
22 comes in.
You could have posted what it said too. I don't have my Bible out for this class.
It's the verse about not looking down on the young.
Oh, where'd it go?
We're in the same program, Cam. So
she got the head bob in and everything. So I want you guys to know that I've posted some of the recordings in the online class, and I had a couple of students reach out and ask if they could join our class because they thought it was so fun. So I just want you guys to know that you guys have provided much entertainment for the online class for the people who have taken the time to listen to it. So.
You don't have no gray hairs.
She might have colored them that way on purpose, Cam. It's a thing.
Listen, you want to see some gray hairs, man.
You ain't got any hairs.
Hey. I'm hair deficient.
Uh-huh.
Challenged, hair follicle challenged.
It's because those shorts.
And see, listen, that's gonna be you see me looking at you? You see me looking at your soul right now? Hey, who's that laughing? Diana?
You got on the stage at Gateway South like
Diana.
Is that Diana laughing? Diana, you better not laugh. You better turn your camera on. You better turn your camera on before you do all that laughing.
Unmuted to laugh at you.
You did it to yourself.
Meanwhile,
Hallie, be quiet.
Okay, everybody watch. Everybody watch me. Everybody watch.
Meanwhile, Nabil and Dennis are like completely quiet.
Hallie, you better be quiet before I send somebody over your house.
Hey, that's a threat. I will call the police.
No, it's a microaggression. It's a
That's
microaggression.
Jesus, like Cam.
Oh my goodness, y'all are
But
funny.
I'm done with y'all, man. I'm done with y'all. Y'all are.
Do you need anything, Professor Dainty? Are you doing okay?
Oh, you're so sweet. Look how Judy redirected that conversation. It was going.
That's her MOL degree.
Oh my goodness.